And funny enough, we will have two Claires. We have Claire du Mesnildot, Insurance as a Service owner at MAIF, and Claire Barrett, who is a partner and founding partner at APIsfirst, and also the creator of Women in APIs, who will join me right now. So the two Claires after the two Alans. Hello, Claire, and hello, Claire. How are you?
Hello.
Hello, Mehdi.
Yeah, hello. Nice to see you. So you're Claire squared, right? You know, you're Claire to the power of Claire. And yes, and you will tell us the story about insurance as a service product and API product at MAIF, right?
That's right. Thank you, Mehdi.
Yeah, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Lovely, and we're delighted to be here. My name is Claire Barrett. I'm a director at APIsfirst, and I'm also one of the founding members of the API Collective, and proud to also lead the global Women in APIs community. And we're about helping people and large organizations realize the full potential of APIs. Other Claire, what about yourself?
Yes. So as Mehdi said, I'm business owner of the Insurance as a Service strategy at MAIF. MAIF, for those who don't know, it's an old French insurance business of 7,000 people, which has been known for its social and environmental activism for years. And I was very glad to work with Claire and Mehdi and APIsfirst this year on our API strategy at MAIF.
And it's been great working with you. And so this afternoon, we're going to share some views on how MAIF is applying effectively an API product mindset to accelerate their strategy towards embedded insurance. We'll touch on how blending commercial and technical disciplines in achieving that helps solve their partners' problems, and why it's so important to manage stakeholders. So Claire, you look after insurance as a service at MAIF. What is it, and why is it so important to you?
Yeah, the insurance as a service strategy consists in providing our offers, either insurance or services, to third parties thanks to APIs. So in other words, it is to apply a business approach for API and open insurance. For MAIF, it is the opportunity to seize the embedded insurance trend and to make this its own model evolve thanks to partners. We are now building a complete range of APIs covering several parts of the customer experience and different universes like car, home, sport, or credits, and through, like I said, insurance offer and services. Claire, you've been working with us this year. What are your observations on our strategy?
So one of the things, some things that I think you have done really well in terms of laying the foundations for success with APIs as products is in three things. You've got strong executive support to the embedded insurance model and what that can mean for MAIF. Your team has also been set up as a business unit, so it's not being run as a project. It's actually been run as a long-running team, albeit it's small. And actually, that's part of also what is, I think, a key foundation for your success. You've got a small team with a tight focus, and you're continuously iterating and learning with every piece of interaction and feedback that you get from your customers with each of the things that you're exploring and doing with technology. So we see that more broadly in organizations such as yours. APIs, there's nothing new about them, but people's maturity is very varied, and that can even be within large organizations. There can be very different levels of understanding and expectation. A lot more pressure is coming in from multiple angles, whether it's from a technology perspective or increasingly from customers and third parties for organizations working in business-to-business models, for them to be able to, they're putting more pressure on organizations such as yours for better API enablement. But I see that you're looking beyond that because you're actually looking at it as a way of expanding into new markets. We do see a lot of organizations now wanting to start to productize APIs, but many of them are questioning about how they go about doing that. They want to go faster, They don't want to feel that they might be missing an opportunity or risk falling behind. And they're navigating through a lot of different priorities to get there. So how does your team look, and how have you set that up, Claire?
Yeah, I will answer you in a very concrete way. So the team is made of 7 people working in an agile mode. Like you say, it's like business unit. So people are detached from their core teams, and they're all dedicated to the strategy, to the like sales project. So of course, as we are working on digital product, we have 4 IT profiles like developer, architects, ops. But we also have 2 more agile profiles, like a product owner and a scrum, and myself as business owner with a commercial and marketing background. So it's very transversal squad that gather all knowledge in an efficient way, because we are all located at the same office. And more concretely, in the time, we made it step by step, with first with the PO, and then we hired a dev and architect, and we get bigger with the time. Claire, you saw a lot of organization and organization, yeah. So what are your observations on my team? Is it a common organization?
So I think the in terms of common, people do take a different starting point. You're the center of gravity for APIs as products in your organization with you is actually in your business teams. Sometimes that can be more in the technology communities, and sometimes it's in kind of digital or sort of transformational parts of the organization. So I think, you know, having that anchored in the business is one thing, but what's really important is to have that hybrid experience across the technology skills as well. So I think starting small is certainly what's shown to be successful. You don't want to kind of, in a way, overthink this. You need to go in with a mindset of experimentation and a real willingness to learn. I think the other thing that is really important, which isn't always perhaps understood early for people on this journey, is that a team such as yours is empowered to own the full relationship with the target customer community. So I know that you and your immediate team are talking to customers about their plans and their priorities and their needs, and you're able to work with the other people around your organization, but with a real representation of that kind of responsibility, the commercial aspect end to end, as well as how that appears from a technology perspective. So I see you as an example of an API product manager or a digital product manager in your language. What have you learned about that role since you've been in it?
Yeah, since 2 years, I have been learning many things. Maybe I remember 2 main lessons. The first one was that for me the most important thing was to get to know my customer, because it works for traditional product, obviously, but it also works for digital products. I know insurance, but I am far from being an expert of this subject, and I discovered APIs only 2 years ago. So I had almost everything to learn. And I needed to understand what my customer wants and why. So what kind of digital product are they expecting? What is their maturity about it? Why do they want digital product? Why do they want insurance and everything? So, and then when I learned that, I was able to design the targeted digital products. So for instance, and to do that, when we designed our first car insurance API, I went to interview some digital platform that could be interested in this product. So for example, I went to interviewed Odopass, which is now partners, and which is an app securizing used car sold between privates, and they had very interesting vision about insurance, and they shared it with us, and they gave us a lot of insight on what we can do and what they will be doing with our API. So it gave us a lot of insight to work and to design the product. So very important to know and to be close to my customer. My second lesson is that I discovered that I have to convince two people when I am in my selling mission. The business persona, of course, like marketing or the CEO of the targeted platform, and I also have to convince the IT persona. As it is a digital product, it is not enough to offer good benefits through the APIs, but the solution, the API, might also work well and convince both business and developer personas. They each have a word to say in the decision-making process. So this was very new for me. And so we design all our tools and, for instance, our portal to talk to both this profile. We adapt the speech, the way to talk to convince both of them. Claire, do you see other organizations embodying the role in the same way?
I think it's a great question, and I think this role of API product management is one that is evolving as we speak, and so it's becoming more certainly more pervasive, more common, but people's interpretation can be quite different. I mean, it has its heritage in I guess what technology platform companies would understand as product managers, but in perhaps more mature organizations such as MAIF, it can take slightly different flavors. I was interested. Gartner did some research in Canada among CIOs about 3 years ago, and they identified API product management as the fourth most in-demand IT role that they saw facing their technology and communities and technology-oriented communities. If you're interested in the other three, they were cybersecurity, expertise, UX design, and cloud architecture. And those other three were recognized by all companies, regardless of how, if you like, high performing or not they were. But interestingly, the highest performing organizations were the ones that most identified the need for API product management skills as a major in demand. So in other words, they understood that this was an emerging capability, and because it needs a skill mix of commercial, technical, customer-centric modes and so on, it's become something that is quite hard to find. Some people argue that you need a developer background you need to be able to understand the developer experience for your customers as developers to be able to be an API product manager. I think that's a valid point. However, in a business-to-business model, you obviously need to be able to understand your partner's ecosystem and the business problems that they're trying to solve. If these are startups with strong tech in their leadership teams, or if they're software companies using your APIs, or they're your existing clients looking for new ways of doing business with you, you need to be able to walk in their shoes and understand them. And that commercial business sense may mean that maybe you don't have as much of the development expertise. At the end of the day, you can't find a purple unicorn. You need to really work out who's the best person that's going to have the right, often sometimes the influencing skills, the ability to collaborate across quite different teams, both internally and externally. And if they don't have all of the things that you want in your purple uniform API product manager, provide them with some help and support so that they can build around them a team with those skills. Connecting to communities through things like API Days is a great way of actually reaching out and learning from other people who are building this API product management skill set and seeing what else they are doing, because often there aren't very many in a given company. That's what we're finding. It'll be more pervasive, but finding a community connect is important.
And during our work together this year, you insisted a lot that I work on stakeholders. Why is stakeholder management and culture or behavior change was so important for accelerating the digital product agenda?
So It's three. At the end of the day, adopting an API product mindset is an organizational change. It's a cultural behavioral change in some respects. For an organization, it requires a different level of education, different level of thinking to start with. And so the stakeholder management to support that change in the culture, to me, calls for three things. You need to educate the people in the organization who perhaps haven't been close to what APIs are about. There are still a lot of people who are looking to understand what it means for their business or for their function. It can often call for new operating models. It can call for new ways of working. So you need to basically manage this as you would in a change management program. You need to do a lot of communications. APIs mean so many different things to different people. There are different needs and different opportunities all through an organization and through customers and partners. So you need to be really clear and consistent about the message so that everybody's singing from the same song sheet, using the same terminology. And I think another practical thing for organizations going through so much change, probably certainly exacerbated through a pandemic, is you're trying to get management attention or people's attention to understand, for example, what this API story might mean when there are so many other things going on. There's lots of other important transformational things to people to look after, pressing challenges from regulators or existing customers, IT, project teams, investments, etc. So you need to be able to understand and getting through to people and make sure that the priorities and decision making are clear so that you're actually working on the right API priorities. We hear quite a lot of people saying, there are so many things I could be doing right now. Where should I start? You need to kind of structure and organize how to do that in a planned way. And so what's worked well in your stakeholder management, Claire?
Yeah. Inside a company like MAIF, which is large and settled, I saw that making a new project coming to the surface was not easy, even more when it touches on culture and well-established habits. So for me, the main steps to get people on my side and not against was to show the common interest to adopt this new approach, because if it comes in opposition with their own objectives, they won't be motivated to help me. So it was first steps, big one. And besides, and you are very helpful with that, it is important for me to make them feel involved by inviting them to workshops, to demos, by asking their opinion or sharing articles or feedback, not only once, but all along the project. So they keep feeling involved and imply in the strategy and the culture change.
Absolutely. And how has this, either personally or for your team, actually helped you get things going faster? I think you're not alone. You want to move this program ahead at pace.
Yeah. I think that by being transparent and collaborative from the beginning, it allowed us to get feedback from all our stakeholders, whether they are internal or external. And it makes us save a lot of time and avoid mistakes. So we talk and we expose our approach even when everything was far from being ready, so we could get return on their own experience. And this was very important for us. And besides, for instance, by getting marketing person on board, it makes it easier for all the team to access faster and clearer information and being more known inside the company. And now people come to us to get our needs or our own feedbacks. So we start to be known as a qualified teams to create external API, and other teams come to us for advice. So it's great acknowledgement for our work, and it benefits for all the company because we have learned a lot of things, and now we can share it with the whole company. So the whole MAIF is getting faster now thanks to that.
But you would also, I think, say that you are still very much on the journey. What are some of your priorities for next year, for 2022?
Yeah. I would say I have two top priority. The first one is to enlarge our catalog of API with new product. We recently launched our API portal, so now we have to fulfill it. So if we want to have new partners, so it's our main work this year. And we also have an internal challenge that will be to have the project integrated into larger marketing strategies, to be seen as a real new distribution channel, and no more as a funny, innovative experimentation, but to be very integrated and taken into consideration in a very more strategic level.
Great, it's exciting times ahead. So I know that we're just about at time. So what we've been talking about this afternoon, and thank you everyone for joining us in this conversation, we've been sharing MAIF's embedded insurance proposition is what is insurance as a service. That's how they are branding and describing it. They are realizing this strategy with APIs or digital products using a multidisciplinary team, a team that is learning and evolving with each iteration of experience that they're offering their custom partners. And managing stakeholders is allowing them to speed up the adoption both internally and externally. So we are delighted to let you know if you would like to know more about either of us. We're both on LinkedIn. We have Claire, you can talk to the MAIF developer portal. I've also got links to our spreadsheets, my websites. And we have, I think, 3 minutes for questions, maybe.
Yes, we have some questions. One first question about what are the regulation actually, what are the regulation constraints using APIs for insurance?
Question for you, Claire.
Yeah, I think there is regulation about insurance, but not specified to API. The API must respect the insurance regulation, so it's like standard one. And for example, the GDPR or it's regulation more linked to the distribution of insurance, like to be registered to the ORIAS, for instance, in France. But it's not specific to APIs. APIs must take this into account, but there is no specificities about insurance APIs.
Yeah, and there's also one question from Charles. What is your interaction with the rest of the IT department, those who don't deal with APIs?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a whole change of culture among all IT, or is it just your team?
No, we have close connection with the IT team. Our IT team at MAIF is very large. We don't talk to everyone, but we have multiple connections. And we are, of course, working closely with them. And we, little by little, are spreading the API culture, not the API culture because MAIF already used APIs, but the API, the product culture inside the IT at MAIF. It takes time, and we need to explain for instance, there is a standard to respect, there is some expectation to reach. So it takes time, but we are getting along with, by explaining, showing our result, sharing feedbacks from our partners. It's all contribute to the culture change.
Also, it's worth to mention that MAIF is known in France for their, let's say, societal values, but they're also known for their open source program. And funny enough, the open source program of MAIF is based mainly on open source product for APIs and API management and developer portals.
Yes.
You know, with the Daikoku, Otoroshi, and all your products. So even in your open source strategy, there are some API, tooling there. Just maybe Claire, Barrett, this one, just to finish. But what could be the added value of an external point of view? When it's about doing consultancy on APIs, working with a company like MAIF.
So I think the benefit for an organization like MAIF is to learn not just from like, for example, the French community, but to actually get global insights as well. The API space is, of course, far beyond particular. It doesn't respect geography, perhaps in the same way that we've traditionally thought of. I think also that many of the change situations can be helped. I think also being able to provide some of the latest kind of methods or tools or frameworks that have been tried and tested elsewhere that can be applied. It just gives an organisation like MAIF a really good head start, or if not a head start, an acceleration, which was very much the case here, that they can take away and use themselves as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Claire and Claire.